We are recording this. Good afternoon. Welcome to the September 21, 2025 O-Scale Central online program. I'm David Vaughn. Those of you who are repeat viewers have already heard this introduction, and I apologize for that, but we get new viewers on every program, both live and as rebroadcast on YouTube, so this introduction is for them. O-Scale 2 rail is a model railroad scale of 1/4 inch to the foot, 1:48 proportions. It runs on 2 rail track, just like prototype trains. O-Scale 2 rail is almost 8 times the mass of HO. The scale has detail you can see, mass you can feel, and satisfying models you can build. Although nominally the same scale as Lionel, O-Scale trains for O-Scale 2 rail are built to prototype proportions and operate in a prototype manner. O-Scale Central, which sponsors this program, is a nonprofit 501c3 tax-exempt membership corporation whose mission it is to promote 2 rail O-Scale and support modelers in the scale. We are NMRA's Special Interest Group, or SIG, for O-Scale. O-Scale Central has an information-filled website at oscalecentral.com. We publish a quarterly journal and a monthly newsletter filled with interesting features about O-Scale 2 rail products, modelers, layouts, clinics, and news. O-Scale Central maintains an active outreach program to train shows, RPM meets, and NMRA conventions. We also sponsor this monthly online program using the Zoom platform. We bring in top manufacturers, importers, modelers, clubs, and newsmakers in the scale. We present layout tours of quality O-Scale 2 rail layouts, short clinics, and news you can use. O-Scale 2 rail is a scale small in numbers of active modelers. Because of our small size, the scale operates largely below the radar, without the manufacturing support, advertising, and visibility enjoyed by other scales. But the O-Scale community is tight-knit. We support each other. We welcome new O-Scale modelers. O-Scale Central and other organizations help keep the scale on the move. We provide this program, as well as our website, as a service to the scale. You need not be a member to use the website or to view this program. We think keeping the O-Scale 2 rail community informed, educated, and cohesive is important, and this is one of our sets of contributions to it. That said, we hope you'll see the benefit of what we do, enjoy the program, and join O-Scale Central. Go to the website, oscalecentral.com, find the membership section, and follow the prompts. Your dues money make this program and other activities possible. Our program today is a hybrid. After we cover news and upcoming events, Skylar Shippey is going to give us a walkthrough on the Detroit Model Railroad Club, both to explain the history and give us a visual tour. The O-Scale, the Detroit Club has roots going back to the dawn of model railroading. It's still an active operation with a bright future. As a twofer, Skylar Shippey, who is the president of the Detroit Model Railroad Club, in addition to serving as president of O-Scale Central, will provide us a tour of Dick Tomlinson's layout, also a Michigan layout, and also very closely linked to the Detroit Club. He has been very active in Detroit for many years and has a great layout in which Skylar is an active participant. We'll also talk briefly about the new O-Scale modular standards and get a thumbnail sketch of a new modular group which has been established in the Washington, D.C. area to build a modeling community, have fun, develop modeling skills, and promote the hobby. Although not all of the members of that group are O-Scale 2 railers, the core layout that we're going to be using as a centerpiece is in O-Scale, and we think it will have special promotional value for our scale. If this effort sparks your imagination to start something similar in your area, that will be one of the purposes. The second half of the program today will be the annual meeting of OScale Central. This is not an invitation to drop off. I know most people think business meetings are dull and boring. This one, we promise, will not be. It'll be all meaty and hopefully provide us an opportunity with some feedback from you. You do not need to be a member to sit in. We're proud of what we do and how far we've come, and we want to share it with you. In that meeting, OScale Central's president, Skylar Shippey, will report the state of the organization, tell you about our present and upcoming programs, and either Skylar or our treasurer, Joe Norman, will give us a brief report on OScale Central's finances. We'll then open the floor for your comments and questions. How are we doing? Are there things we can do better? Are there things we ought to stop doing? What do you want to know about the organization? What do you want to tell us? If we want to have a broader discussion on the future of the scale, we can do that as well. This will be an interactive, informative meeting. Stick around, listen, and even better, participate. Just some highlights, and we want to flag for you the fact that we have upcoming OScale shows in Strasburg, Pennsylvania on the 13th of October, in Cleveland, Ohio on the 1st and 2nd of November. We have the Southwest OScale show coming up in Oklahoma City, and OScale South early in 2026 in Atlanta. We have a list of coming events on the website at oscalecentral.com. Check it out and periodically look for updates. And here is a head start on the next OScale Central online program. I've said before that 3D printing is among the major parts of the future of our scale. The use of 3D printing for rolling stock and detail parts and other components of our layouts minimize tooling costs. They eliminate the problems of minimum runs and carrying order. Those have been the elements that have held OScale back. We think we're going to have a bright future in that regard. Dan Rabel does some absolutely stunning work in 3D design and printing. And he's put together a PowerPoint presentation which lays out better than any I have seen how 3D printing works and how you can make it work for you. Hint, it does not require you to become a software engineer or have printers humming on your nightstand 24/7. Catch Daniel next month. It'll be well worth the time. Let's turn to our first program segment. Skylar Shippey is, of course, OScale Central's president. He's an engineering graduate of the University of Michigan, go blue, and an active nickel plate modeler, as I am. So I think he's the perfect officer for OScale Central, a threefer, as we call him. Skylar is also a longtime member and president of the Detroit Model Railroad Club. Like a number of other OScale two-rail clubs, Detroit has a long and distinguished history. It also has a very active present and a very exciting future. We'd all like to hear about Detroit and see what's going on. Skylar, you ready? Take it away.
I'm ready. All right, let's screen and get this started. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Last month we had a report on the two OScale layouts that were featured during the National Convention in July. Joe Barker gave his report on his attendance. So I figured following that, I'll give all the dirty details on both layouts. As an introduction, for those who don't know me, I'm a 29-year-old O-scaler. Been an O-scale since 2007. Been a member of the Detroit Model Railroad Club since 2007, and since then served on the board for 8 years. 3 years as vice president, and this is now my third year as president. Happy to do it. Also, as David has mentioned, I'm the president of O-Scale Central for the 2025-2026 term. Again, very happy to do that. In my professional hobby pursuits, I like to mention the amount of track that I've hand laid, configurations, and whatnot. So most of it's been in 148, some 172, dozens of switches, numerous custom frogs, 3 diamonds, which has been updated, and 1 3-way switch. So I like to plug that whenever I can. On the left side picture is an example of a structure that I built while I was bored in college. On the right is a picture from David Vaughn's layout. I like to visit other O-scale layouts and enjoyable. So I thank David for that opportunity and for future opportunities to come. On to the Detroit Club's history. There's been 6 layouts, so rather than start with just the current one and leave the rest of the history off the radar, the club was formed as an outgrowth from the Detroit Society of Model Engineers. A lot of the large cities had some type of organization like them, and what they focused on was like stationary engines, boats, some railroads, but few of the guys just wanted to focus on railroads. So in 1935, the club was formed. Perry Dorrance was our president, was also included in the formation of the NMRA in 35, but we'll get to that here in a second. Bill McGuire was the secretary and treasurer, and the club grew to 35 members, which, looking back on it, 1995, and to think of the 30s is almost alien, but I really enjoy the history.
Tyler, your audio is
so the first layout was in Perry Dorrance's basement. It was a large old. Is it cracking up?
Yes.
How is it?
Back.
Okay, thank you. The first location was in Perry Dorrance's basement. They filled half the basement with a loop, so they were able to run trains continuously. But because of the amount of members, Mrs. Dorrance evicted them due to the coal dust that was being tracked through the upstairs. That's understandable. Second location was the 3rd floor of 525 Woodward Avenue. It's a large downtown building. They built a layout that was 62 feet by 16, but due to the war around this time, it was the early 40s, about 41. A lot of the membership was going over to the war. Also, because of that, they were having issues sourcing materials. They were evicted from this location for the fire marshal stopping public shows, and the building manager had other plans for the building as well, so they were evicted from the second location. Third location was 419 Atwater. They built a 58-foot by 17-foot layout. Again, the sourcing of materials was rough. They were able to salvage previous layouts, but getting new material was hard. At the end of the war, they were evicted from that location. From there, they moved to a New York Central freight house. That was a very large layout, 65 by 45 feet. They salvaged the Atwater layout, which itself was sizable, so that helped with retention of materials. This layout, I would love to include pictures, but I'd really lengthen this. They did have an operating balcony, and they had a very large power supply routing area with battery power, which was very interesting to see. Unfortunately, in '58, the New York Central determined that they wanted to use their freight house for something else, and the club was then forced to move to their 5th location. The 5th location was located at the Michigan State Fairgrounds. They built a long and narrow layout, 76 foot by 19. primarily built for public showing. But again, remember at this time there was no operating couplers, which will become more important on the 6th layout. The fair was attended by tens of thousands, upwards of 100,000 people likely would see this in a 10-day period. And the club got smart with funding, and they created a couple throttles that the public could run for 10 cents a whack for a few minutes. Well, when they had that idea, they figured that they should buy some other units so they weren't having wear and tear on their own. So they bought a few all-nation units, which I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with. And estimations there, even reasonably, are that they would run over 1,000 actual miles during the fair each year. Although they were there from 58 up till 73, the building manager there figured they wanted bathrooms underneath the grandstands, and so the club was asked to leave from that location. That brings us to the current location. Well, no, sorry. That brings us to the next building, but the next layout, this is a temporary layout. When the club found the building in Holly, Michigan, which is about 45 minutes northwest of Detroit, they had a very unique situation where it was a single screen theater in a small downtown with a sloping floor. So rather than start building a layout, they had to scratch their heads a bit and figure what in the hell they're going to do with a sloping floor. So for the first year, what they did to celebrate their 40th anniversary is they built a long temporary loop, reusing 2 of the portable towns they had on the previous layout. So this is technically the 5th and a half layout that clubs had, and was just used while they were planning out their current layout. So that brings us to the current layout, number 6. When they got to the building, at some point they were introduced with the concept of buying the building. And because they've been kicked out of 5 other locations, they wised up and took the chance. But to come up with the amount of money during the temple, there's no millionaire included on the roster. There's an idea from Dick Tomlinson's wife, Judy Tomlinson, to come up with non-interest bonds that the members could buy. And that helped raise $13,000, 12 and a half of which bought the building, and the remainder was the seed money to begin construction and buy new materials. This is a horrible picture, I know, but it just gets the point across. The outer perimeter of this picture is the footprint of the building. So you've got doors on the front. There's a projection booth here at this wall. And then from this point here, the floor started to slope down all the way to this point, and there's a stage. The stage was the only thing in the building when the club moved in, and was at some point later demolished in order to build the current layout. This section view shows the height of the building and the sloping of the floor and the ceiling. So again, when you look at this, just like they did in 74, you wonder just what in the hell you can do with this. During the planning, it's not as effective to start waving your hands with ideas and what you can do. So the club created a mock-up, which was a plan constructed from a committee of 4. In the left picture, you see Dick Tomlinson here showing off the mock-up, showing off the concepts put down onto pen, paper, and pencil, and then later shown to be an exaggerated helix, in a sense, that we can refer to, that goes from a town that you'll see when you first walk in to a lower level. The lower level was conceptualized from a member who would drive by the Silverdome in Pontiac on his way to and from the club. And he thought that the club could have a dome in the center of the room with a large town in the basement or lower portion, and then a second level above that. Well, they didn't go with the fiberglass. They went with the lower level with the idea that you would leave a large city from the basement, from 2 track main line, and then up a single track main line. So if you walk through the front doors, this is roughly what it looks like. I'm like
Skylar,
100 feet
we're
long.
we're having audio problems again. I'm not sure what the issue is.
I'm not I'm not sure either. I corrected.
Okay,
How bad is it? Does it go off just for a second?
it goes in and out. Right now, it's fine.
How long is it out?
It's not out completely. It's just garbled. Proceed.
Gotcha.
Why don't you go
Okay.
ahead?
Sounds good. So again, this is a view from as you walk through the doors. Where the projection booth used to be, we've turned that into a large switching plant, which provides a lot of switching opportunities which were not originally planned for in '74. Again, as the operating couplers didn't come out until later in that decade. From the corner view, you can see the top level of the layout. The town in front is the town of Dorrance, named after the first president, and the main line and aisle continue on the rightmost side. Continuing further down on the aisle, you have a very complex junction, which, when trying to signal, has led to a lot of scratching heads. But again, very complicated track work, which some of that was reused from the previous layout. We do have continual construction. I don't think we'll ever be done with the layout, and even in my lifetime, with how often we rethink and redesign an area. So this is an example here. It's hard to see, but there is pencil marks for the new track work that will be created in this area. This area is where a branch line originates and then continues up a 3% grade to a few other towns on the layout. A lot of this rock work was done during the 90s. I don't have pictures of the before photos, but it's just a lot of rock, and we try our best to show it off well, and we've recently repainted some. As we work further down the aisle to the left, I want you to focus on this tunnel portal here. This tunnel portal is where the main line pops up from the basement from one of the locations. Continuing further, looking to our right now, the double track main line has a loop here. It loops around over top of itself, comes to this location, loops around over top of itself, and then comes out along the walkway. After going down the walkway and down through this tunnel, it then goes down into the basement, which is referred to as Detroit. This area here is underneath the balcony that was constructed by the members in the early 80s. And if anybody has any ideas as to what we can do for the scenery, please let me know, because this has looked the same since the mid-90s, and I can only think of putting green up. I can't think of how to tie all that main line together. This drawing was drawn by David Thornton, who is a graduate of GMI, back when it used to be called as GMI. This is all drawn by pencil at the time, which is quite inspiring to those who just work on computers like myself. To be able to theorize this and draw it out is just a lot of talent. Currently, this photo is being taken from this position on the aisleway on the upstairs. Shortly, we're going to go down the basement, down this flight of stairs to this position. The next picture will be looking to this area to the left. But going from one wall to the other, we have a main line that goes around about twice around the basement. This area here is industrial switching. To the right is industrial switching, and there's a dividing wall that's in between. A few other pictures are going to be taken from this perspective here, looking towards the passenger terminal and freight yard. So let's take a look. Now, I said it was industrial switching, but you have to remember this is a club environment. So all of this equipment here is extra equipment because we have a lot of members who like a lot of different things. But the track plan here is industrial regardless of whatever's in here currently. at some point when our operation sessions blossom even further, this will look more correct than it does now. The next picture is going to be looking in the opposite direction. So on the right, you see where the stairwell comes down. And on the right, right below the third step is where the main line comes out from the upstairs. It comes out in a backward S-shaped form along the wall and comes along the other wall. Again, this is other industrial switching. And again, I'll reiterate the point. We've got too many locomotives on our layout. Case in point, we have a diesel engine facility. Note the three-way turnout. This first aisle divides between the main line and the passenger terminal. And this view shows the passenger terminal in the center and then a large yard on the opposite side. These photos were taken somewhat recently during our construction season, so disregard part of the mess. At the end of the passenger terminal, we have a double Y. So we have passenger trains that can leave in any arrangement and arrive in any arrangement as well. Diamond here was hand laid, and there are 4 double slips that we also utilize heavily. The original plan before this plan was adopted, if you can see all of the pieces rolling stock here setting, the original idea was for the passenger terminal to be reversed. Unfortunately, with that plan, you'd have 25 car long passenger trains going through a 6-foot minimum radius. Not sure how well that'd do today, but back then with the weight of the cars, I can only imagine the carnage. Looking back from the base of the Y, you can see the amount of tracks that we have in the yard. We have 4 arrival departure tracks, 9 class tracks, and 1 through track. We have a turntable that we've recently installed, and we are planning for the roundhouse to be added. Once that's added, we will have definitely more storage for locomotives. On the right side, you see the dividing wall going up. It was easy to install in this location, but now we have to figure out how this track arrangement is going to work with a dividing wall. It's more of aesthetics at that point for bridges, locations, and how far the dividing wall comes up, and of course, what's on the backdrop. Another view of the yard from left to right, you have the 4 arrival departure tracks, the 9 class tracks, and then where the H16 is sitting, this is the through track. Obviously, with the caboose tracks is full, you can see just how much equipment we have. For those who may recognize this is a kit that was produced in the late 30s. This is probably the oldest structure that we have on our layout, and the earliest photo we found was from 1941. This bridge was moved at least 2 years ago from a location where it was arguably a tripping hazard. And with our aging membership, I wanted to preserve this as best we can and remove it from any amount of feet damage from people being able to trip. I don't think this looks pretty safe to me, unless somebody finds a new way to whack it. For the Sparkies, this may look a little intensive, but this is because the club went from DC to DCC in the early 2000s. And I understand the best practices are minimum runs of 30 feet for the power, locate your boosters across your layout evenly. Well, this is combining the DCC technology with the DC mentality. And what we're able to do is there are numerous plugs along the wall here that locate the boosters. These power shields then have plugs to be able to select different boosters. So the system's been working well. We plan to replace it soon. The only nice thing that I like about it is if one booster goes out, you can quickly exchange a few plugs. But this is just one example of how much wiring we have going through the building. Because of our open house schedules and our operating sessions, we have staging tracks. I believe these tracks on the right, the 4 on the right, and then the 4 on the left, those were reused from the fairgrounds layout. And the middle tracks, This used to be an open area, but due to all the added equipment and added staging requirements for our operating sessions, we've added these 4 tracks. We say that we have all hand-laid track, but we then had to change it to 98% as hand-laid because these tracks here are flex track. All right, now looking towards one of the towns. This is the end of the single track. This is the town of Beck. Plywood was redone here, I believe, in 2018. It was done in tandem with the 4 tracks below being replaced. The backdrop here was painted by a local artist, and it's very effective in making our layout pop. It's very nice. Standard number 6 switches, a couple staging things, and what we're looking forward to is getting buildings that truly reflect the industries that we have planned up there. From the balcony, this is probably one of the best views to see the whole layout. When members run trains, we tell them to follow their train as they're running it, but often we find them up here where they can see everything except the basement. The term spaghetti bowl can be used, but since within the last 15 years, there's been a larger push to create more opportunities for prototypical switching. And that's been important because open houses, we tend to run trains in circles for the public, but not as many members enjoy that. We understand the necessity, but we truly don't really enjoy it as much. This is our dispatch room. We utilize the JMRI programming to create panels. We have panel of the basement here, and then on the left side we have the entire main line from the upstairs staging across all of the main line, all of the basement, up to the opposite side of the staging to make loops. Top right, we have cameras located at strategic locations, and this is able to have the dispatcher locate problems and investigate stuff on his own. So I believe this concludes, yes, this concludes the Detroit Club. I'll save questions until after I've covered the second location. All right, the Michigan Shoreline Railroad. This is a layout that's been owned by Dick Tomlinson, with pieces of it dating back to the 1960s. The layout itself was designed before the house was, specifically for that purpose. And portions of the current layout were moved from his first house now to his house out here in Fenton. The construction was inspired in part by John Armstrong, with how the layout was devised with a mushroom concept in a sense. Most of this is total free, no specific railroad in mind for prototype, and we have a lot of guys here that bring their own locomotives, so it's not like we have a truest sense in operations. The other thing that makes this layout unique is it is a point-to-point railroad. The length of the main line is 900 feet. All the track is hand-laid. We frequently host operating sessions. We have one a month from October, usually through April or May, but we may continue that as most of the major construction is nearly completed. We are reaching a point where we can become a full year round operating layout. 2015 was the last major push for redoing the wiring. It was a DC layout before then. We now have it up to DCC standards, use NCE. There is signaling on the layout. We use ABS, and we use that with CMRI. This is a unique picture. When you look at it, it looks kind of strange. The reason why is because it's 2 pictures that have been pushed together. So just remember this picture. This was 10 years ago, this past June. I was a bit younger. But from this point, you were able to look to every corner of the basement. You could see everybody, you could yell across the basement. But there's been a lot of work since then. This is a track plan. If you were to follow this, you will start from this end. This is Atwood Yard.
and you will cross the basement 8.5 times until you reach the terminus point of the town of Stonington. So as an O-scale layout, to be able to cross that much and have that much mainline, it makes for some very unique overlap scenes. To make it simple, here's a linear map. Again, you go from the town of Atwood, which has a classification yard, arrival departure yard, engine service facility, through a main line to the middle town, the major yard of Middle Fork, and again, the terminus is the town of Stonington. So these pictures that I'm going to pull up, these pictures I am pioneering as walkthrough pictures. The majority of them are going to be taken within a few steps of each other. And when you view these with our layout documentation program, it'll be as if you're walking through the layout yourself. So we'll go through a few of these, and I'll point out the significant parts of this. So this view here is as if you're stepping off the bottom step of the stairs and seeing the layout for the first time. What's new certainly is the added aesthetic of painting the sides black, adding some skirting to hide other distracting items. To the right here is a scene that we're working on to not duplicate but somewhat replicate the Algoma Central. This is a better view of it. This is, I can't recall how long ago these pictures were taken, within the last year, but there's been work here that I'll go through at the end. The next step you take along the aisle, you're along the town of Greenbush. The upper level here is on the Eastern Division. I won't really point out all of the main lines just because it's too much overlap. Continuing a bit further, this is where you see a lot of stacking happening. The main thing to note on the map, you'll see this is a gauntlet track. Not many gauntlets are modeled. A lot of modelers try to escape the restrictions and not add them onto their layouts simply because it's a hindrance. But because we have it added, it's just another added piece of realism when having operations. We have two antennas through the layout. This one here is hung from the ceiling. There's another one on the opposite end of the basement. We'll continue a bit further. On the right here, there is a car ferry. This will be the backwater of the dam. On the left side, up at the top, this is the town of Stonington. So when you see this black plastic shielding going around the perimeter there in a mushroom type form, it's enclosing the town of Stonington. Walking a bit further, because of the pacing from each end of the basement to the other, there's quite a bit of tunneling that's been going on. A lot of hidden trackage for mains between towns. And this is a good example of it too. Right here, there is a tunnel portal, and further a bit, there's another tunnel portal. So you'll have an opportunity to see the train here, but between the rest of it, you'll have random cutouts so you can follow the train. The minimum radius for this layout is 6 foot on the main line. There is some super elevation added, and this vantage point shows the major town of Middle Fork on the wall, the Eastern Division next to that, and then this peninsula here is coming out from Atwood. This red carpeting is strategic. This aisle is about 26 or 28 inches wide, and the rule whenever we have operators is don't stand on the red. Very hard to pass when anybody's standing here on the red. Walking a bit further, you can see there's a duck under here. This is a duck under for the Middle Fork operator. Again, you have a better look here. This 4-truck Shay normally works the yard and is currently sitting on the yard lead. And to the left here would be the access to Stonington, which we'll get to towards the end. Walking further along the aisle, another portion of the layout comes out. This trackage here at the lowest part is where the Atwood yard funnels down to the main line. And then up here, the top here, this is the town of Makatawa, which is the second last town on the Eastern Division. Further along, you see more more aisle. You can see just how curved most of the aisles are. It's the exact opposite of a perimeter layout along the walls. A little bit further, you see the roundhouse at Atwood. We have quite the diverse roster of locomotives. From just anything we enjoy running, we run, except for the inclusion of nickel plate locomotives, which I've slowly been adding to the layout. I want to point out one crucial design feature that was needed to reach the town of Stonington. Stonington is accessed from this main line here along the wall, and in order to reach Stonington, the main line had to be above the roundhouse. Now, nobody really had a good idea or good thesis for crossing over the roundhouse, but I eventually came up with a cantilever support plan. So there's 1x4s right behind the roundhouse that come up to a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, which comes across to about 24 inches wide, to 1x4s here that then go up to the trusses. I should have pointed out in the first picture, this layout was designed only with trusses holding up the house. There are no posts. And that was just a means to an end for alleviating any type of design requirements for support. So the trusses, as you can see, almost along the ceiling here, they're at 16-inch centers. And to be very helpful, we could utilize those to bridge the gap and reach Stonington. Further along, we'll see the backside of Atwood and then tiered tracks. I'll go a little bit further here. There's a trestle which I built. This was to answer the question of how in the world are you going to have a elevated track that's between a major town and a major yard that doesn't have the equivalency of a hill or any type of support that wouldn't be a bridge or wouldn't be artificial. The trick to this, you can see in this picture, it is increasing at a rate of about 1.5%. But to make it easy on me, we had the base supported and built at 1.5%, and that left every single bent to be identical, which really helped me while I was bored in college. The left side of the wall here, you'll notice the tracks doubled up in places. For any of those who are planning to build another house and you want to give specific instructions to those digging them for what size you want your basement to be, remember to include outside dimensions as inside dimensions. Dick's next house will be perfect. There's also one other correction that was required, and we'll get to that at the end. This view is showing the backside of the town of Middle Fork. This turntable here, the unique thing with it is there's a DC motor with a decoder on it. So there's no formal control. You simply dial up locomotive 9999 and change speed and direction to move it. When we first started this, we were at the base of the stairs and looked forward. This is if you were at the base of the stairs and looked to your right. You can see here the construction that's been going on for the bents for the new trestle. And then this town along here is the town of Cedar River. This is the opposite side. This shows more of the main line, more of the walls. These backdrops were painted in a 3-day period. There is at least 60 feet of backdrop painted by a very talented artist. I haven't heard of anything like that before. It was very unique. And this would be the view of the backside of the staircase. And this is the backside of Cedar River. You see these collections of pieces of plastic. These are 3D printed pieces that are used in building the trestle for our current project. So this is a reminder to go to Stonington. So along this aisle and to the left, you have an access area. There's a drop bridge. So if you look down it, on the left side, you have the area for the dispatcher, where you have your monitor, which has the linear map of the layout, or railroad at that point. You have a base unit for phones for communications to towns, which notify engineers and vice versa. There's an elevated platform here, and here at this truss is about 6'1". So anybody who's below 6 foot doesn't have any problems. Standing up on the walkway, you're able to see the backside of Stonington. We have panels that are cut into the upper parts rather than trying to mount them on the lower. Much more easier and less cumbersome to avoid. And then looking at the opposite side, you see the rest of Stonington and the end of the main line. The first picture from this red carpet here. So again, just a unique space that's hidden from a lot of people who, when they first look here, they don't realize there's anything in the center, when in actuality there's a full town. Now, we mentioned the basement dimensions and having them dug correctly. This is a PVC pipe. There's a sign above it that says switchers only, and this is the end of the basement. There's a PVC pipe that goes 18 feet outside the house, straight outside the house. This is the third leg of the Y at the top of the fork. It was created out of necessity because that would fit. It was at least reduced to 5 foot, if not less. So if anybody was thinking about outdoor running, this is certainly an idea that you could take, just a PVC pipe to head out the world. This brings us to the current state of our project here at the dam. I've spent a few hundred hours constructing these towers, locating them, and now currently I'm waiting on material to build the decks. So this project is becoming the focal point, as it has always been for Dick Tomlinson, because he's always wanted to recreate this. So we're looking forward to finishing it. All right, so at that point, I will open this up to questions. I'll leave this up for 5 more seconds for David to look at.
Watch, nickel plate locomotives.
Yeah, so that's the presentation, that quick and dirty side. As I mentioned before, and I want those who have finished up to this point, the presentation for Dick Tomlinson's layout is a philosophy of layout documentation. It's document layouts, have them stored on our website for our section for people to virtually visit layouts. I'm young enough, but I still don't think I could visit everybody's if I truly wanted to, due to my work schedule and everything else. So I truly am going to continue pushing this project, and I see it as a very special one. So that presentation I'll take.
Questions for Skylar?
Hey, Skylar, this is Joe Barker. I was wondering how many people you have in the Detroit Model Railroad Club, and do most of them live nearby?
I'll answer the first question in 2 parts. The number of members we have on paper is, I believe we're up to 81 members. But again, that's on paper. In person, you'll probably see regularly 25 to 30 people through the year. We do have snowbirds. What was the second question?
How many live nearby?
I would say most people are within a half hour on average. There's a few that are within about 5 to 10 minutes, but I'd say the median distance is going to be about a half hour.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
What do you,
All right.
on your operation sessions in the Detroit Club, and what kind of, do you use a card system, or?
At the Michigan shoreline, we use car cards. They're technically 5-position waybills. Club, it's becoming a hybrid because we have pieces of equipment that could leave the layout and come back. It's very hard to use switch lists. But if we're able to account other pieces of rolling stock to travel and have somebody update that, we're looking at this point to create car cards from a known switch list and update the switch list between sessions. So it's a lot of moving pieces because it's a unique railroad. But because of the amount of members who move their equipment, it makes it a little difficult to.
Sure.
All right, hearing nothing else, I'll quickly go into a modular layout update. One opportunity during what we've been doing.
Skylar, you're breaking up. Try again. Skylar? Oh.
Eric Peterson.
Okay, we missed about the last minute of what you were saying. If you could give it to us again.
Centers. We have
Still breaking up.
resolved that we will have a base module length 4 foot. Yeah, got it. We are having module lengths to be standardized at 4 feet. But what that means is if you have a section of module, as long as it results to a multiple of 4 feet, would be perfectly adequate. For example, if you have 2 modules, that's a total of 12 feet, that will be applicable. So we have a version 1 standard, which we're coming out with, and for Nick have a presentation next month to go through most, if not all, the details.
Hey, Skylar,
That's it as of now.
Skylar, the audio is really breaking up. I'm not sure why, but it's very difficult to follow.
What's the last thing you heard?
You were describing the modules in terms of length.
Yeah, so we settled on a 4 foot length of module as a base length, a standard length, meaning sections of modules. You could add 3 or 4, how many ever modules you want, but as long as the total length results at a multiple of 4 applicable to the standards it included. So a lot of progress has been made. Of course, in all of these things, the discussions last till the wee hours of the morning, but we're looking to deliver those standards and get the project moving.
And if I understand it correctly, you're planning on a more in-depth presentation on the standards next month. Is that right?
Yes, I plan for Nick to present version 1 of the standards next month.
Super. Anything else for Skylar in his capacity as president of the Detroit Club? Skylar, I want to thank you for the very thorough and organized presentation, and between your presentations on the Detroit Club, on Dick Tomlinson's layout, and your presiding over the membership meeting, you were probably going to talk more in this single day than as an engineer you talk in the course of a whole year. So we're giving your voice a whirl.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, given the fact that we are going to have a presentation next month on the modular standards, and in light of the time, I'm going to make an executive decision not to go further into this now. I will say that we have a secret weapon here in Maryland, and that is as a base for our modular project. We are using the project layout that Tony Custer did several years ago in Model Railroader about Wingate, Indiana. And we recently displayed that module, which has now been substantially modified at the Mid-Atlantic RPM. And we're going to use the base Wingate, the Wingate layout, and combine it with different modules to be constructed to the standards that are being adopted, and use the resulting oval as a way to establish a modular group. The group will be designed to build a community, have fun, build modeling skills, and promote both model railroading in general and O-scale 2-rail in particular. And in anticipation of next month's presentation, I invite you to look at the new website for that group, and it is Maryland Modular Modelers at gmail.com. Maryland Modular Modelers at gmail.com. And for those of you who are Gilbert and Sullivan fans, we are very modest models of modern modular modelers. Ta-da. Anyway, never mind. Okay, but take a look at that in anticipation of next month. We were able to get about a dozen volunteers to work on this project from the display that we did at the Mid-Atlantic RPM meet last weekend, and we're very excited about this. This is a great way to introduce people to O-scale 2-rail. It is a great way to introduce people who may not have room for a fixed layout to start building in O-scale 2-rail. So we're excited. I would say that Skylar and Nick Bulgarino and several other folks have put a lot of time into these standards, and we're looking forward to it. It's Maryland Modular Modelers at gmail.com. I don't know how many of you are conversant in Zoom, but one of the little entries, little logos on the toolbar that's on the bottom of your Zoom screen says chat. And if you click on chat, it will give you a set of messages, whatever people have been posting during the course of the meeting, that you can click on. And one of the things that is in the chat right now is an announcement from Jamie Robinson about an open house coming up at the Southern New England Model Railroad Club, which is an O-scale 2-rail layout. Jamie has been an active participant in the O-scale Central Online. The Southern New England Club is interesting. I hope maybe at some point, Jamie, I can convince you to do the similar kind of presentation to what Skylar did to introduce Southern New England. I note that it is the cover layout on the O-scale Annual, which has just come out from White River Press. Jamie, if you want to tell us anything, add anything to what I've indicated, feel free. You're not obligated.
Well, the club's been around for a while. They started with a modular layout, and I'm just, I don't live close to there. It's a 400-mile round trip for me to get there for an op session, but it's a really good club. They have a nice small show. All the vendor tables are sold out for Saturday. It's well worth a trip. And they participate in the Tour de Chooch in November also, the weekend after Thanksgiving. which is a series of model railroad open houses in the southern New Hampshire and eastern Massachusetts area. So it's well worth the time for folks that are close enough to take advantage of it.
Thank you. The specifics of that, including a link, is in the chat, and I appreciate Jamie bringing it to our attention. All right. The second half of the program is O-Scale Central's annual membership meeting. As I indicated, we open that as we open this entire program to people who are not necessarily members of O-Scale Central. The bylaws provide for the annual meeting and direct the presentation of officer reports and the introduction of nominees for elected positions. We'll talk about the second part of that in more detail after we've had Skylar's presentation. But Skylar, if you would, in your capacity as president, take over the meeting and do the things that you need to do to conduct an official meeting.
Absolutely. Well, this annual business meeting will be a address to the membership. I'm going to start out the financial update that we are currently sitting on $9,500, of which most of this is all spent for O-Scale Central, with the newest expenditures relate to reimbursements for go to shows, which is going to be more important. On paper, we have a total of 900 members. We're holding 200. That's fantastic. I'd like to see that continue to grow. Our marketing endeavors continue to extend to multiple advertisements, more and more publications. New tracks is a big addition this year. And of course, we're also doing more in O-Scale Resource. On the website, I got to thank Scott and Eric for all of their work in continuing to update, keep up to date the calendar, add stuff to the website. It's having the website that's currently up to date. It's the best thing we can have, especially for the calendar. Getting all the show information is truly important. Also included in this is the members area, which I encourage everybody to take advantage of. The new things we'll have with that will be the membership directory working on. We'll be going live soon. Next thing would be the O-Scale Central online program.
Skylar, if you eliminate your background, it will help the audio, hopefully.
If I eliminate my background.
It's very beautiful, but I'd rather hear you.
Yeah, well, I use Teams at work. Here we go. Video. Yeah, fucking bedroom. All right, well, I'll get a tether connection for the next one. Let's see. O-Scale Central Online, which is a program that David's been sharing, and I think has been one of the best things to come out of O-Scale Central, not only to connect our membership, but future members. Big thanks to David and Greg for keeping it going, and everybody who's presented. Our inclusion with the NMRA, of course, this year with the National Convention was great. July was a busy month, certainly for me. We were here. Publications with the inclusion of, is it still off?
Skylar, we got a suggestion to do two things. One is turn off your video. We do know what you look like, so we can try and see if that works. The other is come closer to the mic.
I'm within a foot of the mic, actually.
Okay, well, that sounds
Let's
very
see.
clear.
Let's see, publications. The coupler and drawbar continue to be produced with Eric's participation with the drawbar. Being able to see that come out each month on time is fantastic. We've strengthened our publications committee. I will be helping Eric, and we have added a managing editor. Many hands make for light work. The other thing with publications is if you guys have any types of articles, it would be just great if you could send anything in to be included in the drawbar and or the coupler. It doesn't have to be professional. I'm certainly not a professional publications person, but I can draft something that somebody can work with. Modular standards, as mentioned, certainly been working with that. That's been new this year. We'll see as it's rolled out. I have an event in Cleveland on Sunday, November 2nd. That'll be the first annual kickoff for a modular meet, which we will have more and more as time allows. The next will be layout documentation. This is a project that I started, rolled out to the board, and is improved to the point where we're going to turn it live on the website. This is something that, as I mentioned as well during the presentation, that being able to virtually visit is better than being told about a layout. I'd rather see pictures than somebody say, oh, you should have seen this. So as this is rolled out, we'll introduce a publications guide for any of you to create a documentation of yourself that you can then send in and we can add on to the website for the members area. Another thing to point out would be our participation at the RPMs and train shows. These happen, I can't even count how many we've been to this year. And it's a fantastic outreach for those who are non-O-scalers. That is, I mean, it's great to show off the organization to those who are in O-scale, but it's even better to introduce it to people who don't know anything about O-scale, don't know that you can do 148 without the third rail. So these are things that either we've continued to do or have been brand new this year. We broaden our participation to then grow the organization. And there are some areas that we could, we always need help with, but the first thing to point out would be train show outreach. It's much more appeasing to have a very large group of volunteers settle about in the nation, different corners of it, so that somebody can go to a local train show within 20 minutes, rather than somebody 4 hours away trying to make a certain commitment. So if you're willing to fly the flag, if you want to get involved, we are making a push to create a procedure to attend train shows effectively. Let's see. The product guide, I know Nick's not on, but he has been discussing the product guide. The product guide on the website is one of our best resources. And the best thing about it is when it's updated and you have the current information for current manufacturing, it's fantastic to see that. And with 3D printing, as David mentioned, that's almost an industry upon itself. So as time goes on, we will likely see the product guide include most, if not all, of the 3D adventures and projects that people are willing to share. And that leads me to another push to add those who are in the 3D world, who've printed stuff on their own, designed stuff. We desire a group of guys who are in that in that community to create a location to store the STL files and keep those updated, specifically on our website, so that we can share that and at the same time share the organization. So that's my push for help. The other things to point out is we continue to grow. Again, more hands make for light work. Promoting O-scale 2 rail is definitely needed.
We know about it, but we need to let everybody else know about it. The other thing would be leadership availabilities. On the board, we have a slot open that David will get in here shortly. It's a position that anybody can take. It's just simply being involved with the organization. It doesn't take a person thinking it's a full-time job. It certainly isn't, but it is simple and effective. So I will push for that, and I'll have David have a better pitch on that. But first, what I want to do, being that this is the end of the address, I want to go to Joe Norman. And Joe, I want you to name the George Wallace Award recipient, if you can.
This year, the board has authorized us to start an annual Lifetime Service Award named after George Wallace, who was a good friend of mine, good friend of O-Scale. Most of you probably knew him. And this year's awardee is going to be John Smith, Pecos River Brass. John's been promoting O-Scale for many, many years. And at our O-Scale, Southwest O-Scale meet, we're going to present John's representative. John is in very poor health now, not able to attend the meet, but a very good friend of his will be there, and we'll present the award to John. And in the next month, a couple of us are going to go down and try to see John and make another presentation in person. And anybody who wants to nominate somebody for the 26th award, if they would get a hold of me or Skylar or David and present the name and short description of why the person is qualified to receive that award, and we'll certainly take those names into consideration.
All right, thank you, Joe. Really appreciate it that we were able to award that. That was great. Next, I want to turn to Eric Peterson, who I just saw at the Indianapolis show. Eric is on for re-election, understandably, and because of that, I want to thank him as much as I possibly can for all of his work on the board, all of his participation thus far, and certainly all of his effort he will have in the future. Eric?
All right. Thanks, Skylar. I just wanted to talk a little bit and try and do some things to promote people to consider being on the board or being part of the leadership team for O-Scale Central. My experience and why I joined is, first of all, due to George Wallace, one very persistent fighter pilot. And David Vaughn stepped in to lead O-Scale Kings at the time, and now doing business as O-Scale Central. I thought I could make a difference, help make this organization a little better. And it's been a great run. I have great friends, and I'm not going anyplace. I'm going to stay involved with things, but gradually reduce my activity. And at the same time, that opens up a position on the board for us to bring some new ideas and new thoughts in to work on the projects we have ahead of us. Just a word about the NMRA. It's been my main contact in the hobby. It was started 90 years ago by many O-scalers for all scales. O-Scale Central is the NMRA special interest group for us. And that has been the longest part of my model railroading connections. So who are the leaders in O-Scale Central here? They're O-Scale modelers doing what we can to expose others to the pleasure of modeling in 148. What we do, first of all, we become friends. We talk about 148 model railroading, display at train shows and events, and as Tyler outlined, the websites, publications. So board members and leadership make this happen, and by each having a role. something that they're working on. So I asked two questions. This is most effective if we're talking one-on-one when recruiting somebody. But if you just visualize for a minute, just the two of us talking. And so the questions I would ask, first of all, what are you interested in doing for O-Scale? Do you have something that you think ought to be done, something that you see others doing that you would enjoy being involved with? Look to your own interest. After all, this is a volunteer organization, and it's important to be doing things that you want to do. So the other thing is I want to plant the seed for you to consider being involved. And my number one goal is to keep you from saying no today. So thanks for your interest and past support. David Vaughn heads the nominating committee, and I'm certainly available if you'd like to talk to me. So please make a consideration. Please consider making a difference. Thanks, Skylar.
Thank you, Eric. All right, as Eric mentioned, David, you have a discussion point here on the nominations.
Sure. The nominations and elections process is conducted pursuant to Article 8 of our bylaws. The Board of Directors is the one that sets policy and carries out programs for the organization. We've got a president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer, a past president, that's me, and 5 directors. Terms of office are for 2 years. Terms are staggered, so at any given year, half the board is up for election. We have had incredibly good quality officers. We are blessed. I don't know how to thank Eric Peterson enough for his willingness to step in. George Wallace cannot be thanked too much for holding the organization together during the lean years. But the current officers that we have are very good. Our predecessor organization, O-Scale Kings, had a richly deserved reputation for not doing anything. And we've been working very hard to overcome that. I think we've done very well at it. I want to thank 2 people in particular who don't necessarily get the credit. One is our secretary, Ken Nesper, who does a bang-up job of keeping the organization organized and on track. You don't realize how critical a secretary is until you have one who is not diligent, and we've been very blessed in that regard. Our treasurer, Joe Norman, who is up for re-election this year, is a CPA, and his financial reports come out in great detail, very accurate, and always on time. And I think we need to thank him as well. This year, we have up for election the offices of vice president, of treasurer, and 3 board of directors members. Incumbents are Nick Bulgarino as vice president, Joe Norman as the treasurer, as indicated, and directors Walter Horlacher and Al Oslapis, as indicated. Eric Peterson, whose term is expiring, has indicated he will not be running for re-election. The nominations process runs through the end of the month, and there is still an opportunity to throw your hat in the ring. You do that in the first instance by contacting me, and I believe my contact information is on the website, but in any event, it is an easy one. It's NKP, like in nickel plate. You'll probably hear that a lot if you talk to me any length of time. NKP OSC s2r@gmail.com. And we would really encourage you all, particularly those of you who have been active on this program for an extended period, to consider throwing your hat in the ring. And you will need to indicate your willingness to serve, and the board will review all applicants to make sure that you are members in good standing, and you will be placed on the ballot. So we encourage you to do that. We haven't really talked about the other way to participate in the Scale Central organization. In addition to the elected officers, we have appointed advisors. Most of the advisors have particular areas of interest and responsibility. So we have an advisor for narrow gauge, for traction, for three-rail liaison, and we have people who work on the website and do other functions within the organization. And even if you do not wish to be an elected officer, we would be delighted to have your participation as an advisor, particularly if you have some area of special interest and expertise. So I can introduce our nominees so far. Joe has indicated willingness to serve again. I'm delighted at that. Nick Bulgarino has indicated willingness to serve a term as vice president. We don't know about the directors, but we know there is at least one opening. And I would strongly encourage each and every one of you to consider participating. We do good for the scale and for the larger hobby. We have fun. This is a group that likes working with each other. Our formal meetings are generally limited to once a month by Zoom, just like this. But we have a lot of program activity that people participate in outside of the formal meetings. And I think we've been doing certainly a lot more than our predecessors. This is now 5 years of rebuilding, and we think we're doing well, but we can always do better, and there are probably still things we're screwing up on. I hope that Skylar will leave the floor open for some discussion in that regard. But that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, David. With that, that's the end of the formal annual meeting. As David mentioned earlier at the very beginning, we are opening the floor completely up. Questions, concerns, anything you guys have. Thanks for attending, and looking forward to the conversation.
Who wants to ask us or tell us something about the organization? I work as a mediator, so I'm able to use the awkwardness of silence to try and provoke people to contribute something.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm wondering why you have duplicate videos showing on your website. You know, you'll post like the same meeting twice. It shows up on your website, like the February meeting will be twice it comes up on there.
I am sort of indirectly responsible for the conversion of the meetings into YouTube format. And you were telling me something that I did not know. So the short answer is, I don't know the answer to it, but I will find out and we will fix it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Most
Thanks
important
for bringing
me,
it to our attention.
yeah, most important for me, I like to see the January of 25 issue. I'm interested in seeing the video on Tom Holbrook's layout.
Thank you. We have had some difficulty with getting continuity. The raw meetings, like right now, need to be edited a bit in order to look more formal and official. And we have had difficulty getting reliable editing and posting. It's not anybody's fault, but that we've had some turnover and so on. And I am assured that we have someone who is on this, and we are catching up with the back meetings that were not have not been uploaded yet, but they are coming. I apologize for the delay. This is an area where we clearly need to improve in our performance.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Shippey, I think we've apparently exhausted our participation. So,
Yeah,
anything before we adjourn the meeting?
I don't have anything. Nope.
All right. I suggest, since we don't have any formal agenda items, that you simply direct that the meeting be adjourned. It has been our practice to keep the meeting open in case people want to have some crosstalk and informal comments and things that might not be necessarily of interest to the entire agenda, but still of interest to O-Scale. So
Yeah, works for me. So yeah, meeting's adjourned, and we're opening up the good and welfare.
thank you, Skylar. By the way, next month, I am going to try and get Lee Turner on the program. I don't know if you know, but Lee won the best of show, however they say that in NMRA, at the recent Detroit NMRA National. He scratch built a Lehigh Valley 484 steam locomotive that was just absolutely exquisite. And I'm going to try and get him to come on and talk about that model. One of the areas that we can certainly improve on as a scale is displaying the models that we build or modify to show how incredibly cool O-Scale is, particularly relative to the smaller scales. And I remember going to, I think it was the Dallas NMRA National, and not seeing a single O-Scale model entered. We need to do better than that, and when we do, we win prizes, but we also increase the visibility of the scale. So I'm gonna see if I can get Lee on. He's a truly marvelous modeler.
David, you mentioned Daniel Rabel. One of the projects we're working on right now is the very common bulk oil dealers, as you see in almost every town, where you got the tanks either horizontal or vertical. If they're horizontal, they're on metal stilts or concrete pedestals. And doing the tanks themselves apparently is pretty easy. And in HO, we've had a kit from Grantline that's now San Juan. And they've switched to a cast resin tank, but I don't think that kind of kit's ever been done in O-scale. Correct me, please, if I'm wrong. But we could sure use one. I need, oh, you know, my little 2-town O-scale railroad, I need 4 or 5 of those dealers. And it would take probably 8 or 10 of those kits to supply the tanks I need. So if any of you are either very interested in it or knowledgeable or have good data on the typical small town bulk oiler dealerships, you might get a hold of me. I'd like David have an easy email address. It's nkpfan, is in nickel plate fan, at ptd, is in penteledata.net. And I'll relay the information to Daniel. Maybe we'll get this done.
Daniel is incredibly prolific as well as incredibly talented, and I don't hesitate to contact him directly. And as I indicated before, he will be on the program next month and has a presentation. I don't know whether you could quite call it everything you ever wanted to know about 3D printing, but we're afraid to ask. But it's most of what you would want to know for 3D printing. So it's certainly something consistent with the other projects that he's worked on. I want to introduce Kel Sherson, who joins us from New Zealand. I don't even want to know what time it is in New Zealand, but I appreciate his dedication. And I have I guess it's a question that Kel may be able to help us with. My wife is a public television fan, and one of the programs that she watches when they run out of British shows is a New Zealand show. And she recently saw an episode in which the murder victim was the owner of a model train shop. I don't know if you're familiar with that series, let alone with that episode, but can you respond to what's that all about?
Hi, everybody. Well, it's 9:34 a.m. Monday morning here in New Zealand for a starter. So tomorrow happens. David, I don't know, but I'm a bit worried about the theme of the whole thing because we need all the model railroad hobby shop owners that we could possibly cheat. I try to do my best to support them all, but particularly from down here in New Zealand, getting parts, O-scale parts particularly, can prove challenging from time to time. But I certainly appreciate a bit of a plug maybe for even the guys at Atlas, very good at turning around my requests from far away. So I appreciate that. But yes, if any of you are planning a trip to New Zealand, get in touch. And David, maybe direct your wife with an email to me directly, and I'll see if I can find out that information.
Thank you. And if anybody has an ambition to go to New Zealand, I have Kelvin's contact information and would be happy to put you in touch. And
Sure thing.
And Kel, you haven't been to the States for a while. I think you're due to come back.
Yes, well, COVID, as we know, got in the way of a whole bunch of things. And I have a daughter that lives in the UK, so trips to England we might have to call by on the way. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, we're down to the good and welfare part of the meeting. If anybody has anything else they want to add by way of a comment or question, we'll stay on a little while and do it. But if everyone is talked out, we'll stop. Frank, you got your finger up, but you're going to have to unmute yourself. You're still muted. Still muted. Frank, you're not coming through.
There.
There you go.
There's wheels for trucks on cars, on freight cars, 36-inch wheels. There's 33-inch wheels. Does anybody produce a 28-inch wheel that they use on auto racks?
Northwest Short Line. I've bought 4 sets from them. They're pretty good.
Who is that, Skylar?
Northwest Short Line. It takes a while to get it, but it's American made and they run well.
I'll have to get the information from you.
I'll send you the link.
All right. Thank you.
There you go. Another question answered.
David, I just wanted to comment that the Indianapolis show this weekend went really well. We had 4 layouts on the north side of town here open and another good quality 3-rail layout open. And I think everybody that went had a pretty good time. I sure did. And I didn't spend a whole lot of money. So, but good people, met some new friends. Hopefully some new friends for O-Scale Central, and at least one of them already joined this morning.
Wow, that's great. Congratulations. And on Skylar's show in Cleveland, that is the show that has been in Cleveland for a long time that Skylar has taken over to nurse back to health. It's a 2-day show. You can set the details by looking at the website. But the second day is going to be a modular meet, the first modular meet, which we hope to expand as we get more modules and more modular modelers.
Yeah, I took the opportunity last year to make it a 2-day show for sales, and the idea was to appease the bigger dealers to show up, but all I ended up doing was pissing off the locals. So I'll keep it to 1 day for the sales, which makes sense. But the Sunday is going to be a modular meet from relatively 9 in the morning till 5 at night with the, I don't want to say delay, but without the production of the standards coming out before the show. What I'll likely have done is I'll likely have 2 modules built to the standards displayed at the meet while we have the Detroit Club's layout running. So that'll be the plan for this show. Next year, we'll definitely have a lot of attendance from guys at the Maryland group, specifically Nick and others. But the hall that we have for the UAW hall for the Cleveland show is one of the largest UAW halls. So it's definitely the perfect location to have it at, since the floor is also a bit more level than most venues. So definitely looking forward to it. And I think it's going to be a function of O-Scale that'll be very beneficial in definitely flying the flag at multi-scale shows. If you have enough people interested and available, you could set up at a multi-scale show and run the modules together with the regional group. So looking forward to it.
All right. Anybody else got anything? Otherwise, we can thank everyone for your participation, and we will hopefully see you next month at the October O-Scale Central Online program. Thank you very much. Be safe.
Thanks.
Thanks, David.
Joe Barker, you still on the program, on the phone? Okay. I think Joe got off. Eric, you doing all right?
Yeah, doing real well, but I had a small infection of gremlins when my layout was open Friday and Saturday. So nothing serious that stopped all trains, but it was kind of interesting. I usually don't have gremlins visit my place very often, and they ganged up on me. I think I had three or four different opportunities.
Well,
Come up
you're
in
the
a
only
matter of a
model,
couple
you're
days.
the only modeler I know that doesn't have their layout go crazy when you have visitors over. Everybody else I know, it can operate flawlessly for months, and you get a crowd of people down in the basement, and it
Well, we had a reasonable turnout, not as many Friday as we had last year, but I opened back up Saturday afternoon, and another bunch of people came that had spoken to me during the show itself. So the show ended at 3 o'clock on Saturday. So it was we had fun and met some new people, and one or two of them I think are good candidates for leadership in O-Scale Central. So,
great. Always good to
yeah.
have new guys coming in.
Yeah,
Terrific.
tried to use my charm on them. We'll see what happens.
Good.
A
I
lot of
ran into a O-scale modeler in, I think, southern New Hampshire. And he is retired CSX, and his name is Maloney, I think. And he was a management trainee and cycled through your signal shop. And he said he was with CSX in Jacksonville, and I said, "Do you know Eric Peterson?" And he said, "Oh yeah," and I bet he would remember me. I don't have. I think his name was Brian Maloney, maybe.
okay.
But he knew a bunch of people. He said, "You tell him about so and so." I don't have the note in front of me, but said, "You use so and so's name, and he'll remember me." Uh,
All right.
so
Very
anyway,
good.
yeah,
Yeah, I
no,
was just
it's
the American Rail. It was a busy week. The American Railway Engineering and Maintenance Way Association had their annual technical conference in Indy Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So it was a busy week, and it was great
wow,
to see some old friends and make some new friends and see people that I had been involved with, or even some involved with actually hiring them or seeing them at the railroad in the railroad classes at Michigan Tech. And
yeah,
so it was really fun. One of the guys that worked for me quite a while ago and now works for a consultant. Was really a good friend, and saw him and like I said, several of the people that we had crossed paths with. And 9 students came all the way down from Michigan Tech on the Upper Peninsula for the conference. They really worked to bring in students and help out with the expenses on that. And so there was a lot of students there, and had the 9 come by and have pizza and run some trains on the layout as part of their activities on Saturday, I think it was. So
did
good.
did they critique your signal system?
Yeah, they're all criticized because there isn't any of it working. So that's still on the project list.
Oh, so you're to dark territory. So presumably you
Yeah,
were doing train orders.
yeah, yeah. All of my signals that are standing are correct if you look at them from 3 of the 4 directions that are possible. If you look at them from the direction you could see the light, they're obviously no longer, they're not operating, but from 3/4 of the time they're just fine.
Okay. All right. Listen, guys, I'm going to have to jump off unless somebody's got any last comment or question. Appreciate you all coming. And Eric, I hope you're gonna show up in Cleveland.
No, I'm going to we got a lot of travel this fall, and we're headed out pretty quick here to the Upper Peninsula again, and then going out to the Beano Railroad Historical Society over in Martinsburg. And so I decided to forego that trip, and I'm going to display O-Scale Central information at the Carmel Library one-day train show.
Okay. Well, I would only give you one additional plug, and that is if you're in Martinsburg, you're pretty close to me.
Yeah,
look on the map. Maybe we can get together.
all right, we'll take a look. I think it's gonna
All
be
right.
a quick turnaround. I've got to go almost straight from the UP of Michigan out there to make the meeting, and then Pat has some things to do coming back. So we'll
All
see what
righty.
happens. But thanks for the
Okay.
invite. It'd be great to see
Yeah, let's
the layout.
let's see if we can make it work.
All
All
right,
right. Take care, guys. See you next month, I
thanks.
hope. Be safe.